I do have problems, especially with memory and things like that. But what I'm doing today, tomorrow will be a problem because I can't really remember it all. My life is day by day, really. I'm quite happy in a way. There is a sort of a future. For some of us, not for all of us. It's just in my case, I have vascular dementia and sort of certain things are hard and everything, but I can still cope. Yeah, I'm very independent, probably pig-headed, as they say, but I do it my way, and it's worked. We had porridge, and I like my homemade yogurt. I make it. It was very hard with Glennis gone. I do everything myself, and I have a very good neighbour that when in doubt, I go hop down there. Like housework was a no-no for me. I've never done it, but I've got to do it now. And I do read the paper, but I can't read the whole paper, but I can read the headlines because they stand out, and the pictures, and I can make it sort of what I want. I can read, but when I read a paragraph and get to the next one, I've forgotten what I'd read.
For a long time, he didn't know, what was happening to him and what that might mean for the future. My mother, Glennis, she was diagnosed with cancer. It was lung cancer, so she had a period there where a lot of the focus was obviously on her own health, but she was also dealing with the thought of what happens to Dad after she's not around anymore. So that was, I guess, in a way, the focus of a lot of perhaps her final year. They made the decision to sell the business. They moved up to Hamilton to be closer to myself and my sister Jen. That was the point where the decision was made that a retirement village was probably the best option for him.
She had a stroke the second or third day. So it sort of all happened fast. I ended up here, and that was that. You got to get on with life, I'm afraid, and that's it. You can't go backwards, you got to go forwards. Oh, these are some of the old photos. I had a big garden in Tokoroa. We had a lifestyle block down there, and we had blueberries and a retail outlet. But as things progressed, it beat me. I didn't know what it was. I went to my doctors down there. They said, well, you sort of know them personally in a little town. They said, nah, nothing wrong with you, fit. You're okay. No tests were done. And it got that bad in the shop. Well, I just stayed away from it because I couldn't sort of face the people because I kept forgetting everything, forgetting their names and where they were, and then I started to forget the guys. I had 4 mechanics there too, and I got them mixed up all the time. So we thought, well, we'll sell and come to Hamilton. I went to a doctor that I'd never seen before, he sort of picked it up very quickly. Lucky for me, he'd spent a lot of time at the hospital and the dementia unit, and he just actually all he did was just got a pad of paper and just drew a house on it and said, draw it. And everything was upside down as far as I could see. I couldn't follow it even. It was all totally different. And then he run me through what I know now as a general sort of a thing, and hey, I failed on everything.
I was not jumping off of that.
Dad is 75 now. He's he's getting on a bit, but he's still in pretty good nick. My dad's of a generation where people were pretty self-sufficient. He's like your sort of archetypal New Zealand man of his age, where he had lots of jobs where he was sort of jack of all trades. He could do anything. During my childhood, he was always either had a shovel in his hand or a hammer or something. He was building things. He's very much a creator. And he continues that today. It's just he's got a few more things to deal with dementia in his life now.
I can still basically do what I was doing before. It's just scaled down into small areas, that's all. I miss a bigger place and a bigger garden, things, and a bigger shed.
And can I just have a potato?
And a potato? Okay.
Potato.
If you're talking to him, you wouldn't know he had dementia a lot of the time until you were an awfully long way into the conversation or he chose to tell you. And he'll often do that with people because there can be assumptions that perhaps he's capable of doing things that he might not be so comfortable with. And at that point, he'll say, hey, I've actually got dementia, or this is how my mind works. With Mum gone now, there have been quite a few things where Dad has had to essentially pick up things that she used to do for him. It's been quite heartening to see that there's a lot of that stuff that he can do. The worst thing you can do, I guess, with someone with dementia is try to take too much away from them. It's very disempowering. So we're always quite conscious that you can't treat someone like a child. There are things that they need to have done for them, or perhaps explained in a matter of here's how the world is and it's going to happen like this. But you don't want to remove those small things, those small little pieces of independence from someone's life before they're ready to give it up.
Just because he has this diagnosis doesn't mean he's not dead and he's, sitting there gaga and we have to do everything for him. I mean, we laugh and say he still has to earn his dinner. So him coming out here and picking up my kids from school, mowing the lawns, going fishing, mucking around with the family, he's still all a part of us. He's a huge part of my life. Huge. Dad's just like the third child, but he's an adult and he's granddad. So, he comes away on holiday with us all the time. We just don't go anywhere without saying, do you want to come? And he jumps at it. He's just part of our family.
Yeah, it's a bit tough, the old memory, but I don't really recall a lot of yesterday even. But by the end of the day it builds up and I'll sort of start remembering patches of it and then I can piece it sort of together. It's all there, but it's just getting it to come out. But I'm lucky I still got my speech. And a lot lose that bit.
It is very tiring for him. We all know what it's like. A normal day can be tiring. But when you're consistently on your toes, trying to put plans in place so that you don't forget where you are, you don't forget certain things, like have I eaten? Have I got the right clothes on today? What am I doing for the day? How am I getting there? You know, all those sorts of things. It's very draining for them.
I got to write everything down. I write everything on my calendar, or the kids do, and everyone I've got a number for. Pieces of paper stuck everywhere. I have to. I've got to do all of those things. You're angry with yourself. You get very short-tempered because everything you do is very hard to do, and they're simple, basic things. Silly damn things like washing the dishes, putting them in the wrong places, different things like that. Just everyday things. You get them all mixed up. You can't sort of work them out. And of course, while this is all going on, that depression thing starts setting in.
I go to the gym every morning, about an hour and a half every morning, since I've been here at Somerset, because it's a smaller gym, so I am sort of restricted in what I do, so I just multiply everything by 2, and then I go back and I start again and do it again. So I just work on repetition of small things. It puts me on a high about a half an hour to an hour into my session. Something happens, I am fully motivated and raring to go.
Keeping active has been a key part of, he likes to think, and we all agree with him, keeping dementia at bay. He's always been reasonably fit, and when he doesn't go to the gym for a few days, he can notice it in himself and others can notice it as well. His brain is just not ticking along in that same kind of rhythm that it is otherwise. So getting the blood flowing, he likes that. He's really quite incredible in how his mind works. It's very practically focused, and he's a natural engineer. He can just make things work. He can conjure up really sometimes the most incredible things from bits of scrap that are lying around in a shed. It's the sort of thing that's really kept his mind ticking, especially since his diagnosis.
I came up with this idea that every panel there's an animal, and that's Mr. and Mrs. Noah. And then you lift the top ones off and you come out with the same thing. There's 2 of everything. It's virtually a kid's puzzle. Big frustration for me is getting it together because I can't, a lot of the time I can't get it. It gets very frustrating when you're physically able to do these things, but there's something up there that just won't let you do it. And yet you know what you're doing, but you can't separate the 2, and they get a bit clogged up. But that's what we've got, so that's what we have to stick with. It's a disadvantage, but it's not. It's something I've got. I can mingle with people that would never know I had anything wrong with me. And I can get away with it, providing I don't get into deep conversation, because then I get mixed up, because everything races in. And you're thinking of a dozen things at once, and then nothing comes out. It's just all mucked up. But I've got to admit, most times I leave this for somebody else to put together. But I did it. And I did it my way.
Dad does get sundowning, so that's when you get towards the end of the day, and it's often to do with tiredness, where his brain function just isn't what it was first thing in the morning when he gets up.
That was my first boat I made, because all these boats I made after I was diagnosed. They're all motorised, they're all remote controlled. I can be doing something and then it becomes a total blank. I'm still looking at it, but I'm not seeing it. Then I know, put it down and buzz off somewhere. I go for a walk around the village or something, and I come back and walk in the door, and I don't know, it just bang, and it's so simple. I just go back and I do it.
My dad, before he had his diagnosis, he was very staunch, a very quiet, private man, very insular. Everything was all about the family, nothing really outside per se. So he wouldn't advertise that anything was wrong. And I think when he got his diagnosis, that helped him to express more of what was happening, because he knew that there was something wrong, but he didn't know what it was. And so he actually got quite vocal, which has really helped us understand a lot about where he's coming from, what he thinks, what he feels, and just how he lives, really, in his mind.
With Neil, he has more what we call vascular dementia. It's amazing how much good insight he has. If he feels more confused, he tells me. So it makes a lot of difference, and it really helps to manage his condition.
Any problems? Just
Yep.
His family are quite onto it as well, so that's how unique Neil is. Yeah.
see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's different causes of dementia, one of which is Alzheimer's, which is the most common cause of dementia. And another is the vascular dementia, which is caused by reduction or blockage in the blood flow to the brain. There are other conditions that can cause dementia as well, even thyroid problems or deficiencies in vitamins that can also cause dementia.
They keep moving the ball, it's rotating. Oh, gee, differ. Nah. No. I lost the plot.
There's certain places I don't go. I hate going to the supermarket because of the aisles and the people. I do it, but I usually get a trolley or something to push. That seems to settle me down, you may say. The aisles are like a tunnel, you know how they say that you're falling into a hole, a big white hole. Well, that's what it appears to me. If I have to, which sometimes I've done, I walk up against the wall and hang on to the wall because I'm going to fall over it. It's just out there and I'm falling into it. And I still have a lot of problems, even now. My sleep patterns are all to heck. For years, I had a problem with an image. I ghost, hallucinate. A guy would be standing at the end of my bed, no face, human-formed, and always wore a tartan coat. And I hated that guy. And many a night I'd rip the bed to pieces, throw everything away and try and catch him. I'd run into the wardrobe, I'd go up the passage, wife would find me outside, I'd be you know. I'd never leave the section for some reason. The gate seems to stop me.
He's had these hallucinations for so long, going back for so many years, and of course being so staunch back then, you know, he'd always hide it because, God, imagine if that got out that he was having those types of hallucinations, I'd lock him up. You know, that's just his thoughts, the way he thinks. I suppose now that he's so vocal that he has this dementia, this explains a lot for him. And it's not that he's cuckoo. It's just his brain isn't working. It's not firing on all cylinders some days. No, other days it'll fire on all of them. But, yeah, those hallucinations did knock him for a long time. Long time.
It's a real problem. Well, it was to me, and I guess to a lot of people out there that would never admit it. They would never say that it happened because their partners or whoever they're talking to thinks that they're nuts. Well, you're not mad. It does happen. Why not tell people about it? Because all those ones that are putting up with it day after day need to be told. And if they realise that it is happening, they could feel better. Probably do. But they're definitely not alone. And there's a lot of them.
Our classic old age adage that we always laugh about is he had to get a dementia diagnosis to be able to do a lot of things he does now. And he never did. Yeah, never did a lot of things.
I go gliding a lot. We do a bit of flying and a Cessna. I love gliding. It's sort of, you're free of everything and you're floating. That airy feeling is very nice. And when you corkscrew up in a thermal and it just keeps rising and rising and your meters on the dashboard are whirling around. No, it's a beautiful feeling. Well, it is for me anyway. You feel real free up there. But, of course, I have a pilot. I don't do it on my own.
What we do with the sky, whenever you're doing the sky, it's long, straight strokes with your paintbrush. And when we join the next one, you see how it's straight, horizontal, but it's not blending in totally. So what we do is with our second brush, we're just going to blend in those two colours over the top until they're blended. Just because of some of the things that happen with dementia, a lot of the spatial awareness goes, they may know where they want to put a line, but it might not go there. So it's just guiding them. And so we do landscapes. We use all types of mediums, from acrylics to pastels to beautiful pencil drawings they've done. We do portraiture, we do still lives and things like that. When I first met Neil 4 years ago, he came to a talk I was giving on portraiture, and he said, and he had lost the ability to draw curves, so he could then only do straight lines with all his woodwork, and it was frustrating him. And I said, I'm sure we can work on that. And that was the first thing I worked on with him, and you've seen his work. He can do curves and waves now, which he didn't feel that he could at the time. So even that has opened up a lot of things for them.
Oh, I have some very good friends here. They sort of look after you, make sure everything's right. Neighbour across the road is forever talking, telling me what's happened and where it's going and everything. I've got Jan, my other neighbour down here, who cooks me nice scones and beautiful meals. No, I'm very thankful for that.
We just got chatting, didn't we, really?
Yeah, we're very good friends.
Yeah. I understand how he is, what he's
The
been going through.
gardens and things.
We're both outdoor people and both decided, well, we're not putting up with looking out at that mess, so we'll garden it. So we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it sort of keeps growing. We have some great conversations, don't we? And
Yeah.
it's good because it keeps him focused,
Yeah.
don't you?
Well, I don't mind talking about it, but
Yeah, it's good because then he knows how to handle it.
We have a club, we call it the Blokes Club, and there's 10, 11 of us go. And some nights there's dead silence and just a few jokes. But another night, somebody will start talking about one thing or another, and then we get to talking about it. Well, I'm quite free to talk about it. It doesn't worry me one little bit. It worries a lot of them.
Do I have to do that?
yeah, you do. And you got to get them in those holes.
How many do I have?
Yes. There you go. You got both of them.
He's very good at encouraging other people who have perhaps been diagnosed with dementia that this isn't the point at which your life stops and you go and sit in a chair. If you do that, chances are you won't get out of that chair. You know, that's the start of the decline. So he's always encouraging people to not altering their entire life around that future. It's okay, keep doing the things you want to do, but realise that it's probably going to be different. But the longer you keep doing the things that you want to do, you remain active, the better progression you're probably going to have.
I don't think there is any other group of guys that is quite like this group of guys. They all have a diagnosis of dementia. That's one of the things about criteria of joining the club. They come from different backgrounds, they have different trades. It's a very, very interesting and eclectic group of guys, actually. And one really, really important thing is that we work out with the guys what their hobbies, what their interests are, what their job background is, and we sort of work out the program, work out our activities around that.
Just like those flat stones, eh?
And they sort of help and look out for each other. They'll put jackets on the back of each other and they will encourage each other if they're having a rough day. I think a really, really big, important thing is social confidence. Confidence to get out and about and talk to other people. I think that's a real biggie.
You've got to accept the fact that you've got a problem. I have still got a problem, but I can get through it all and I can do it. I have problems sorting things out, but I still live here on my own. I've got no problem with that at all. And I like it. Life's good.
Attitude was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.